to Jimmy V Week for Cancer Research on ESPN as we continue our commitment to the V Foundation and Jim Valvano's dream to defeat cancer. It's getting loud inside the Farrell Center here in Waco, and our matchup tonight, it's Texas A&M, the Aggies, on the road to take on the Baylor Bears. Just a few seconds away from the opening tip, so we'll give you the starting lineups. We'll begin with the Aggies, who have a record of 6-1. Texas A&M playing well here in the early season under Billy Kennedy. Alex Caruso has been a star. House, Green, Jones, and Robertson, the rest of the starting five for A&M. And on the other side for Baylor, also off to a nice start. They're 7-1. No Kenny Cherry. He's missed the last 4 games. We do expect that he's going to play, but not in the lineup. So it's Medford, O'Neal, Prince, Gathers, and the freshman Jonathan Motley. These two teams who have played so many times over the years. In fact, they first played 100 years ago. They call this rivalry the Battle of the Brazos. And right along the Brazos River here in Waco, 206th meeting, but very notably, it's the first meeting since the Aggies left for the SEC, and it's the first meeting not just in men's basketball. They haven't played in women's hoops. They haven't played in football, not baseball, not softball. There's some bad feelings between these two schools, Stephen Howard, and so we expect a very intense game tonight. Yeah, there's a lot of bitterness between all the Big 12 schools of the departing Aggies, so even without that, a huge rivalry between these two schools. Well, the opening tip was not executed properly, so Baylor will not have the first possession. Instead, the Aggies have the ball first. And it's going to be really interesting to see how the Aggies really attack this zone defense by Baylor. And we do welcome you here to Waco, Texas. Dave Fleming alongside Stephen Howard. You missed 2 seconds. The opening tip, which was controlled by Baylor, but a violation. Now, speaking of, instead of a backcourt, it's just a turnover. And Lester Medford missed the layup in transition for Baylor. So a sloppy start, no score, about 20 seconds in for this game between two longtime rivals who have not played since the Aggies left for the SEC. It's a good crowd. It's a spirited atmosphere. And, Stephen, it's two teams who are off to a good start this year. Exceptional starts. Both teams with only 1 loss. Aggies playing well. Offensively and defense, very solid. But Baylor, they really stand out defensively. How they played all year long. Their scoring defense is, they only allow 52.6 points per game. That's top 9 in the country, #1 in the Big 12. So defense is going to win this game today. Daniel House, transfer from the University of Houston, who's played well in the early season for the Aggies. He got it in, but this is the guy, number 21, Alex Caruso, who has been a big-time impact player. He has. In the last 2 games, he's gotten into foul trouble. He needs to stay in this game in order for the Aggies to be effective. Texas A&M passing up some open looks from outside. Shot clock winding down. That's a long, contested 3. And the rebound to Torian Prince. And Dave, that's what this zone does. It takes you out of your offense. It takes you out of your rhythm, and it forces you into poor shots. Rico Gathers had a pretty good look, the big man along the baseline, but missed it. Now what the Aggies need to try to do is get good shots in transition before this zone sets up, because Dave, once the zone sets up, it forces every team that it's faced into horrible shot selections and horrible field goal percentage shots. A little pass fake created an opening for Alex Caruso, and maybe you can hear there are a lot of Aggies fans who have made the trip about 90 miles from College Station north to Waco, and Texas A&M has the first points of the game. I think we're going to have a really good atmosphere. Well, whenever these two teams have played in the past, it has been very chippy with quite a few skirmishes. Gathers missed the jumper. Motley fighting for the rebound. That's a whistle against Texas A&M. So Baylor will keep the ball. The Aggies' 4th-year head coach Billy Kennedy, who's got a great track record of success everywhere he's been. It's been a slower build at Texas A&M. But this is an Aggies program that has a lot of momentum right now and a 6-1 record. Off to a good start this year. Very good start. He's got a top 3 recruiting class coming in next year that he just signed. And so they're very excited about the upswing with Billy Kennedy. Motley, the freshman, misses the first of 2 free throws. On the other side, Scott Drew, 12th year. He's been around Waco a long time. And he has built this program from shambles to a power in the Big 12. Baylor has had a great run of success last year. Once again in the Sweet 16. Motley makes one of two.
Arguably the greatest rebuilding job in the history of college basketball, what Scott Drew has done and sustained now here at Baylor University.
And it's kind of a rebuilding type year on paper for the Bears, and yet there's some signs that this is going to be a contending team in the Big 12.
Well, people think that because you don't have a star. You don't have an Isaiah Austin, a Corey Jefferson that's looking to go in the lottery, but you have a lot of players that are chippy, that played better as a team, whereas in the past you had better individuals.
Well, Daniel House from the corner. That's the second three already for Texas A&M against that tough Baylor zone. Now the pass too high. Gathers was there, but Motley threw it out of bounds. That
three-point shot by Aggies is very instrumental, because you look at the last game against Vanderbilt. They shot 40+% from the three-point line. They shot 3 for 17 in the entire game. So the fact that they're got it going early from the three-point line is good for A&M.
Big news. Number one is in the game for Baylor. That's Kenny Cherry. He is their senior. He is their leader. He's one of the best point guards in the Big 12, and he's missed 4 games in a row with a foot injury. Did not start tonight.
Well, much like Caruso was the catalyst for A&M, Kenny Cherry is the same for the Baylor Bears, and having him back is going to raise the level of everybody on the court for Baylor.
Good half-court offense. Caruso, tough pass inside, and Jalen Jones gets the bucket.
You're seeing right now A&M playing the offensive game plan of Coach Kennedy to perfection. The ball's not sticking, it's going inside, it's going out. Supreme interior passing, and that's the way to attack this zone.
Royce O'Neal fouled on his way to the bucket, a role player last year. Royce O'Neal has stepped up his scoring in his senior season.
Well, he's a guy that I really liked when he was at the University of Denver in the WAC. He's a really multi-tool guy that at the end of the day, you're going to see his stats. He's going to check off a block on every single stat down on the stat sheet.
And you saw him, he was arguing that he should be at the free throw line. He thought that was a shooting foul. Instead, they're going to give Baylor the ball out of bounds. Rico Gathers, one of the best rebounders in the country, will take an early seat. Here's Cherry, a little shot fake. The runner, no good. Rebound Aggies.
And see, the hard thing about Kenny Cherry, he's going to have to pick his spots because he's going to have a little rust. Not playing in 4 games, you got to figure out the rhythm, the speed of the game, because it's much different than what you saw in practice.
Alex Caruso makes a lot of spectacular plays. He also does make some mistakes. That was a turnover for Texas A&M.
He's a guy, though, that you live with those. He might make 3 consecutive turnovers and then come back with 4 spectacular plays. He's the guy that in recent games against Arizona State, he put them on his back and literally willed them to win that basketball game.
They were down big, and Caruso with a spectacular performance. The Aggies off to an 8-1 early lead. Baylor ball. Now a dangerous pass, and Caruso saw it coming and almost stole it away.
Really some sloppy passing by Baylor in this first 4 minutes of this basketball game. Really careless with the basketball.
Lester Medford, junior college transfer, who has played well. Looks like an impact guy for Baylor. When he and Cherry are on the floor at the same time, they are sort of interchangeable in terms of handling the ball. Medford 3, in and out. Caruso rebound.
And Medford, he played admirably in the absence of Kenny Cherry. Had a 15-to-1 turnover to assist ratio, but he's more suited as a combo guard, as a 2-guard.
Air ball along the baseline by Jalen Jones. Cherry passed up the 3. O'Neal thought that one was going to Medford, almost a turnover.
Now you look at this lineup with the Baylor Bears. They have 4 players that can really push it up in transition. Royce O'Neal can play the 2. Kyron Prince can put it on the bounce as well.
Caruso almost stole another one away. Quick release for O'Neal, way off. Motley, the freshman, rebound and the putback.
And that's huge, Dave, for Baylor, because Motley is a guy that they've been trying every single game to play more aggressively.
Well, that was what you were talking about early. Transition before the zone gets set. Daniel House, a spectacular athlete. The answer for A&M.
Right now, A&M is just playing smart, effective, and efficient basketball, taking what the defense is giving them.
Cherry trying to get Baylor organized. Kenny Cherry, the senior from Montreal originally, throws it away. Out of bounds. That's a turnover, and it sends us to a timeout. Good start on the road for the Aggies in a very heated game. 10-3. They lead Baylor.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by USAA. proudly serving the financial needs of current and former military members and their families.
A&M out to an early 10-3 lead on the road over Baylor. Dave Fleming, Stephen Howard here inside the Farrell Center in Waco. Happy to have you with us here this evening for a game that has been a rivalry over the years, Stephen, for these two teams. Baylor's defense has been so good in the early season. A&M early exploiting it. What has Baylor done so well?
Well, A&M has shown how they're going to attack this zone. They're going to hit the interior. They're going to make quick passes. But Baylor, this is how they're going to get back into this game. Look how far they extend the defense when they played against Vanderbilt, way beyond the three-point line. Tauren Prince out by the three-point line as well. They're pushing the shooters out of their sweet spot. And then once you get the ball moving, they're so active. They're so aggressive. I call this an angry zone. Once you get in the middle, they swarm, and then they go off to the races. Here's another play where, again, the closeouts, they're under control. They're active. They're forcing the passers into making passes they don't want to. Here's a guy that they don't want to shoot the ball. They close out. They force him to pass, and then they turn other passers into poor passers. They're going to need to get more active in this zone.
Well, you can't leave Caruso that wide open. He missed it that time. He's not going to miss that very often. A foul on the rebound attempt, and that one is going against the Aggies. Courtney Robertson, the senior, is one of the leaders on this A&M team. Not a spectacular player, a role player, but a guy with a lot of experience. He committed the personal.
He's much like the centers they've had in years past at A&M. The Joseph Jones, the Brian Davises, the guys that are just workhorses down on the block.
Al Freeman in the game for the first time, a guy who can really shoot it from the outside.
And they're really high on him, has a high upswing. He's a guy that they're going to lean on once Big 12 conference play comes.
O'Neal, whistle, blocking foul. Robertson will pick up 2 quick personals in the last minute.
O'Neal is a guy that when he gets the basketball, you have to close out on him under control. If not, he's going to put it on the bounce, attack the paint. You see Robertson with a foot inside the restricted area. You're not allowed to do that. Great call by the officials.
Well, that's 2 free throws for Royce O'Neal, the senior from the state of Texas. Began his career at the University of Denver. He's been a role player, a do-it-all kind of role player for Baylor. This year taking more of a scoring load.
He's a consummate team guy. He knew in the past with Isaiah Austin, with Corey Jefferson, he wasn't needed for the bulk of the scoring. When he was at University of Denver, he was one of the best on-ball defenders. Now he's stepping up into more of an assertive, vocal role, a leadership role, and this guy can do a lot of things, Dave.
Makes 1 of 2. You mentioned some of the players that Baylor doesn't have this year. No Austin, no Jefferson, no Brady Heslip, no Gary Franklin. And yet off to the 7-1 start. In the middle of the key, Cherry got his hands on the ball, almost stole it away, but the Aggies will keep it. Antoine Space did not see Cherry from behind.
You know, Dave, Alex Caruso is really picking apart this zone. The SEC leader in assists last year, and he's just dicing and weaving the basketball. Doing a great job of really getting to the weak spots in this zone.
He found his big man. That is Tony Trocha Morelos, who missed the shot. Here comes Baylor.
But that's the spot you want to get the ball in against this zone. In that middle, either be a passer or attack it to the paint. If they're able to get it to there repeatedly throughout this game, they're going to have a great chance of winning.
O'Neal down low and out of bounds. Deng Deng, the junior college transfer, dribbled it off his leg.
Baylor just out of sync, Dave, offensively. Passing the ball out of bounds. You would think that they've never seen a man defense, whereas you thought in this game A&M was going to struggle with the zone defense.
That's already their 4th turnover 6 minutes into this game. Caruso over to Jordan Green. In the lane, the runner from space off the glass.
Again, when Alex Caruso has the basketball in his hands, he's going to facilitate, he's going to score, he's going to make something happen every single time. He's done a great job with this Baylor zone.
O'Neal, shot rejected. Rebound, O'Neal stays with it. Second chance, no good. Motley comes away, and Motley scores. Good effort by Baylor.
And that's one area that Baylor can excel at. They get an offensive rebound. Around 43% of all possessions. That's top 5 in the country. They have to repeatedly attack the glass and get those second chance scoring opportunities.
House down low, space, turn around, in and out.
A&M, they have good interior scoring, so they're going to keep attacking that middle because Baylor does not have any rim protectors.
They also have some shot blockers. Chosha Morelos, that's the second one he has altered in the last 2 possessions. He touches it over to space. Who draws the foul? That was a nice look.
A couple of possessions ago, I was talking about Alex Caruso. Look at the touch passes he makes. He waits for the defense to come. He sees his offensive player inside the meat of the zone. He passes it to him quickly. That's what you got to have. Quick, precise passing to defeat the zone.
Antoine Space makes the first of 2 free throws. Guy who was a starter for much of last season. Began his career at Florida State. Aggies are deeper this season, so Space and almost everybody else having to play fewer minutes. You see that number, just 12 minutes a game so far this year.
They got a significant amount of players that came back from last year, and so they're expected within the A&M community to be a tournament team, and that's what you expect when you get those veteran leadership guys back on your squad.
Space makes them both. 14-6. That's the Aggies' lead in the Battle of the Brazos. 12.5 minutes to go first half.
Now, Dave, every game this season, no team has scored more than they've averaged about 21 points in the first half. Here we have the Aggies already with 14 with 12.5 left to go in the game. So clearly A&M has figured out this zone that no one else has been able to figure out.
That was a tough pass. Caruso almost stole that one away. Well, a tough out-of-conference battle. Highlights our journey to the tourney on Saturday. It's Michigan and Arizona. The Wildcats, that impressive win over Gonzaga. Michigan, meanwhile, can they bounce back? NJIT took them down in a different kind of challenge against one of the top teams in the country. It's 5:15 Saturday on ESPN. From the corner, Lester Medford for 3.
And I think that's the guy who's going to need to step up. He's the guy that really did so when Kenny Cherry was sidelined with plantar fasciitis, the one that's comfortable in that role.
Well, an Aggies turnover. Baylor starting to play a little better here. 11:53 in the first half. A&M leads by 5.
Think and you cry. That's a full day. That's a heck of a day.
Well, we do hope you join us here. It's Jimmy V Week. The V Foundation awards 100% of your donations, net proceeds from all our events to fund cancer research. You can log on www.jimmyv.org or call 1-800-4JIMMY-V to donate and help us beat cancer.
You know, Scott Drew's father, Homer Drew, is afflicted with cancer. My father is living with cancer, and I stress living, because if anyone knows Jimmy V, he was a guy that embodied living. And I think when people approach it with that same mindset, that's one of the ways to combat that horrible disease.
When we think about Jim Valvano, every day of the year, this is a particular week where we pay lots of extra attention to what he meant to all of us and to what his really his final message about beating cancer means to this day. And so we do hope you join us in that great cause.
And I've even talked to some of his former players like Chucky Brown, who I played against, and asked him what it means to him to see these tributes every year to his fallen coach. And he said it's really special because this guy was special to them, and now everyone gets to see how special of a person Jimmy V was.
Texas A&M with the 14-9 lead over Baylor in a really raucous Farrell Center tonight. This game means a lot to these two fan bases. Lester Medford with his second bucket of the game, and it's a 3-point Aggies lead.
And again, as I mentioned, Dave, Lester Medford is a guy that's going to have to step up. He's a guy that filled in for Kenny Cherry. This team is a little bit out of sync with the return of Kenny Cherry, but Medford, leader of this team, very comfortable in that scoring position.
Caruso found the freshman shooter Peyton Allen, who missed the shot.
Nice.
Freeman in the blink of an eye to the other end to score.
You know, Freeman is a guy that led the bench in scoring all 4 games when Kenny Cherry was out. So again, another guy that filled in that leadership void when Kenny Cherry was out with plantar fasciitis.
9-2 run. The freshman Alex Robinson with a bounce pass, but Trosha Morelos missed the shot.
And you're seeing the crowd get into it. Baylor zone is getting a little bit more active, a little bit more chippy. That's what you want for the Baylor fans.
Prince, the defense, just let him get right to the basket. And Baylor has their first lead. It's an 11-2 run. And Medford almost steals that pass. Robinson into the corner, and Allen, the freshman, just had to go right through his hands.
And take a look at these last two plays by Baylor, getting out in transition, and this is when they're so effective. They attack, they push it. Freeman, acrobatic move in the paint to get a nice deuce, and then Taurean Prince on the bounce. You close out wrong, he attacks nice. Taurean Prince taking control of this team, crowd into it. Now Baylor's in attack mode.
Halfway through this first half, this game has changed dramatically, and it is very loud in here. Medford thought about the three. Freeman will shoot the three. Long rebound tracked down by Daniel House.
Dave, you have a game of this magnitude with this type of rivalry, you really throw out scouting reports. And guys just get out there and play because there's so much emotion, so much history involved.
Robinson, House, three. Too strong. Freeman, long rebound. Baylor in transition. They left Freeman wide open.
Dave, that was a shot that Freeman knew he was going to take. The second he crossed half court, you saw him wait and then take that huge dagger against A&M Aggies.
14-2 run for Baylor, and you may be asking, okay, it's Baylor A&M, it's December, why is it so loud? Why is this such a heated game? They have met 206 times. They first played basketball against one another 100 years ago. They have always played close games. They've had some memorable matchups, but most importantly here tonight, this is the first game between these two in any of the major sports since the Aggies left for the SEC. And in this state, there is a lot of animosity on the Big 12 side with fans. I'm not saying with institutions, but with fans and maybe even some of these players with how that all happened. And I think Baylor relishing this chance to get a crack at A&M.
Absolutely, Dave. I mean, you had all these in-state rivalries that everybody was shaking their heads. That why would you want to leave that? One right here, the Battle of the Brazos, A&M against Oklahoma, A&M against Texas. So many rivalries throughout. I mean, Texas is in their fight song. It's so amazing, and that's why you see so many chippiness with the fans as well as the players.
Kenny Cherry, Freeman attacks along the baseline, and I'm not saying that A&M made a mistake. I think the move has been great for them, and I'm glad that their transition has gone so well. But from the Baylor perspective, there are some hard feelings for sure with their fans, and it is raucous here tonight as a result.
Well, I think when it happened, a lot of people in the Big 12 felt that it, for a time, left the Big 12 somewhat vulnerable. They came out stronger now with 10 teams in this league, but, you know, you're just wondering, why are you leaving something that really you built together?
Foul against Royce O'Neal, his first. On the flip side, Texas A&M, a lot of their fans have come up the road here to Waco, and maybe not the same kind of feelings as on the Baylor side, but these two schools so close geographically, so much history between one another in all sports over many, many years.
And there's also a large contingent of A&M fans that actually live in Waco as well, so a homegrown fan base.
Jalen Jones, who's played well in the early season, he's their leading scorer, transfer from SMU. Back to a one-point game. The Baylor shooting has gotten a lot better since the early minutes. Under 8 to go, first half. Motley, who's playing well. He has struggled the last few games. He's been active tonight. He had position down low, being guarded by a much smaller player, but Cherry and Baylor could not get him the ball. Good look from Robinson, and a lucky carom goes right to House, who finishes with the dunk.
And Dave, that's when you know things are going your way, when it bounced off of a player's knee and right into another player's hands for an easy deuce.
Well, now you hear the A&M fans coming to life here in the Farrell Center. A 1-point lead for the Aggies.
The basketball doesn't seem to be bouncing your way, but then it is. Nice dunk and carry by Daniel House.
From Waco. A spirited first half on both sides. Texas A&M with a 19-18 lead. There's a big crowd tonight, including a lot of Texas A&M fans who have traveled here to Waco for this first basketball meeting between these two schools in several years since the Aggies left for the SEC. And a good non-conference test on both sides. Baylor 7-1, Texas A&M 6-1 at the start of this season.
One of the things early in this game, Alex Caruso already with 4 of the 5 assists for Texas A&M. Baylor only with 1 assist. Baylor playing a lot more one-on-one basketball. A&M playing a lot more team basketball.
Medford. That was a pass too hard out of bounds, and a quick turnover sends us to another timeout. 7:03 to go, first half. A&M leading by 1. So over the years, maybe none more than on January 23rd, 2008, a 5-overtime game, and so many thrilling moments. A layup to keep the game going, and there were several of those. 99-99 at the end of 4 overtimes. Finally, Baylor started to pull away, and in the 5th overtime, it would ultimately be the Bears. 116-110, the final score in College Station. In the last decade, there haven't been many more memorable regular season games than that one.
No, not in the country, not in the history of college basketball. And the fact that it was played between these two storied programs that were at that time in the Big 12 made it that much more special.
A&M's got the basketball here out of the timeout. Some pressure from Baylor.
And you notice the paint touches, 13 paint touches by A&M. That was something that Coach Kennedy stressed in shoot-around. The only way to defeat a zone like this is to repeatedly get in there, make that zone converge, and then attack it or kick it out to the shooters.
Pretty nice move by Jordan Green. He found a hole in that zone and hit the 15-footer.
Which is amazing that A&M is just able to find the gaps in this zone so easily. Something that has not been done thus far this season.
Well, Baylor went on a 14-2 run. Now it's a 7-0 run in the other direction. Prince, great defense. That one went over the backboard, out of bounds, turnover, Baylor. Well, how about NBA Wednesday? We got a doubleheader for you starting at 8 Eastern. And how about Anthony Davis in the performance for New Orleans on the road against the Mavs? 10:30, it's Miami and the Nuggets. That is NBA Wednesday. Anthony Davis, is he turning into the best player in the league?
I think that's in the argument. I mean, he's top 6 in scoring, rebounding, steals, and blocks. I mean, he's really the future of the forward position. I say future, but I don't see many big men coming out like him.
Yeah. Gathers, who is such an expert on the offensive glass, tipped in that miss.
I really haven't ever seen anyone like Gathers to be able to do that and sustain that type of offensive rebounding throughout his career. Rico Gathers is a guy who thinks that everything that goes off the glass is his. You see him fighting down on the block before the shot's been made. He goes up. He anticipates where the basketball is going to be better than anyone that I've seen in college basketball. Great story.
Now the total rebounding numbers on the offensive end, impressive. The per minute numbers, the rate numbers, any way you measure it, he is one of the very best on the offensive glass in the country. You look at him, you can understand why. A physical specimen.
Well, one of the things that amazes me is, one, he's been top 5 his first 2 years in rebounding in the Big 12. But you look at that and then you remember that he did that coming off the bench. That makes that astounding, really.
So, a starter for the first time this year. 2 free throws for Texas A&M to extend their lead to 3. The other part of that last play, Royce O'Neal, his second personal foul. So one of Baylor's best players goes to the bench in a little bit of first half foul trouble. Medford gets it back from Rico Gathers.
They got Prince down on the block, and he's a mismatch. It's going to be really difficult for Green to battle with him down on the block.
Texas A&M, they don't have a ton of true low post kind of play. They have some size. But that matchup you were highlighting, foul against Green.
We got to remember, Dave, Tyron Prince was a 5, a center in high school, and he's transitioned very well to play that small forward, but he still has those back to the basket moves.
Cherry contested, tough shot. It's a 3.
And that was a very tough shot by Kenny Cherry, but one that he's made throughout his career, both for Baylor and in the junior college.
Caruso had a nice long rest on the bench. He's back in for the Aggies, trying to go back door. Little jump hook in the paint, whistle, foul. Space with the shot, no good, but the foul against Baylor.
Dave, I'm just really impressed with the interior passing of A&M in this first half against Baylor. Repeatedly just being patient in their zone offense, finding the gaps, hitting the gaps, and if it's not there, kicking it out to someone with a better shot.
Caruso has been a big part of that. Space at the free throw line. 2 for 2 at the line so far tonight. Foul against Ish Wainwright, the sophomore from Kansas City.
Well, Dave, Caruso is the main part of that. You look at his assist rate, it's at 45%. That's top 5 in the country. So when he's in the game, this team shares as well as any team in the country.
Both free throws good. Aggies making their free throws as a team in the first half. Under 5 to play, 2-point lead for Texas A&M. Lester Medford finds Cherry. Caruso closed out. Cherry went into the lane, draws a foul. Not a shooting foul against Caruso. That's his first, and that's notable for the Aggies in that he has had a real hard time staying out of foul trouble.
Against Sam Houston State, against Arizona State, he got into foul trouble, and Texas A&M really struggled. It wasn't until he got back in the game against Arizona State the last 11 minutes that they were finally able to really wriggle control away, but he's had that foul trouble in the past.
Wainwright trying to enter the ball. That was kicked by Jalen Jones.
And we talked to Coach Kennedy about foul trouble with Caruso if he had talked to him about it, but it's kind of difficult because he's a guy that plays at that relentless pace, and it's hard for a guy like that to really take the foot off the gas pedal, because if you do that, you're not going to be as effective as you are.
Medford, good defense by Caruso, and then the poke from behind. Caruso comes away with the ball. In transition, Alex Robinson, rebound Prince. With the left hand, Lester Medford, nice finish.
Well, see, that's the benefit for Baylor, having 4 players out on the court right now that can push it up in transition. Long shots lead to long rebounds, and that initiates that fast break.
Foul drawn. Antoine Space has been very active in the first half. We'll go back to the free throw line.
And again, this is the shot that Baylor wanted against that zone. Long shot. Prince gets the basketball, hits it up court. And you see Lester Medford so quick with the basketball. Texas A&M did not get back in transition, and you heard Coach Kennedy talk about that first 5 seconds in transition defense. You have to get back really to withstand that attack on Baylor.
Well, Medford, he's not quite Pierre Jackson. No. There are very few who are, but he's got some of that quickness to his game, an element that I think Baylor did miss at times last year.
And I really think it benefited Medford when Kenny Cherry was out, because he was able to assume that leadership role. Now with Kenny Cherry back, you got 2 guys that feel comfortable leading this team.
Gathers down low, whistle before he could go up for a dunk. So another timeout here in Waco. Fun game so far. Texas A&M on the road, leading by 1. We look forward to halftime. We hope Cam Newton is doing okay. Sounds like he is okay, although not certainly 100%. Here's some news and notes from tonight's action. No upsets, and some things stand out there, but particularly Iowa State with another win. Are they a team that can contend, try to end the reign of Kansas in this Big 12?
Definitely. I think there's a lot of contenders in that regard. I think Texas is going to be there. Iowa State, though, with Fred Hoiberg, the mayor, George Niang, one of the biggest mismatch nightmares in the Big 12 in the country, playing well. But Fred Hoiberg has found a way repeatedly at what's been called transfer U of blending players and getting that chemistry early in the season. That's really difficult to do with new players.
1-and-1 free throws. Baylor in the bonus. Gathers made the first to tie the game. Now the Bears back ahead. Under 4 to play first half. Caruso passed up the 3. Robinson, they like him as a freshman point guard. The shot from Jalen Jones, no good. Gathers the board. Prince, quick trigger, good.
You know, Taurean Prince is a guy that loves the spot up.
A little out of control, but it's a blocking foul. So Prince hit the shot, then got the steal, tried to take it all the way. He will shoot free throws.
And this is that last shot that he took. A&M a little bit relaxed, bringing up the court. Taurean Prince steps into the passing lane. That's his athleticism, taking it strong to the rim. But that's really, Dave, when Baylor gets dangerous. When that defense initiates their offense, that's one of the reasons why they've been able to really defeat all those teams early on in the season.
Way short on the first free throw for Prince. Junior, who grew up in Texas, originally signed with Long Island, Brooklyn, which is a pretty good program, but a much different level than the Big 12. Ends up here at Baylor, and I think against some pretty long odds has turned into one of their best players. He's been their leading scorer. Biggest lead for the Bears, 31-26.
You know, Dave, this zone that Baylor's playing today is much different than what they played against Vanderbilt. It's a little bit more compact because they have more inside scoring with A&M, more balance of a team.
Prince, there's the big man Gathers, who hit the ground hard on a tip attempt. He draws another foul.
Rico Gathers, a two-time Gatorade Louisiana Player of the Year. Feels like every rebound is his. The shot goes up. He's searching, he's tracking, he's gathering the ball. And this is a player that has the build of an NFL tight end as your main rebounder, your enforcer. He does that oh so well.
I don't think there's anybody in the country more physically imposing than Big Rico Gathers. And the discussion has happened about whether he could fit at the next level in the NFL as opposed to in the NBA. Gathers loves playing hoops, though.
I think he definitely would get a shot. He's athletic, got touch. They look for that in the NFL.
Billy Kennedy wants a timeout. First of the game called by the Aggies. Well, you're talking about at least the possibility, and the idea has been floated around. It's not like we're coming up with it, but look at all the notable tight ends in NFL history, recent NFL history, who played college basketball. Some of the best on that list.
Martellus Bennett was with the Cowboys for a while, but everybody knows Tony Gonzalez, who really revolutionized that tight end position. Ended his career with the Chiefs. But yeah, I mean, you look at what the NFL, they look for athletes, and a guy that can play basketball clearly is athletic enough. I think, what the heck, give it a go.
Gathers from Louisiana, 6'8" junior, starter, was off the bench on a very deep Baylor team the last couple of years.
I'm sure the Saints and Drew Brees would love to have a guy like that protecting his backside.
Well, they got one in Jimmy Graham, but they might take another like Jimmy Graham if they could find one. But so far, Gathers, he loves playing basketball, wants to keep playing basketball.
Let's see if A&M is able to get back into that sweet spot around the free throw line that they've been effective early on in this game.
Shot clock winding down. Near turnover. Aggies got to get a shot up. They do. It's good. The three-pointer, Devontae Fitzgerald.
That was a good broken play by A&M. Very calm in the short shot clock. Able to come up with the shot, knock it down. And that's the composure that you see from a veteran team.
Prince curls, misses, gathers, foul. He is just destroying A&M down on a low block. 3 top 15s highlight a doubleheader. Holiday Hoops presented by Kay Jewelers on Saturday on ESPN. Some good matchups. That one we've already talked about, Michigan, Arizona at 5:15 Eastern. How about Utah and Kansas? The Utes with a big win against Wichita State. Kansas, the 10-time defending Big 12 conference champion. Jayhawks starting to play, I think, a lot better, as they do every year, already building towards conference play.
My former teammate Larry Kristoviak with the Utah Jazz is their coach. They're ranked 13th now. That's their highest ranking since the 04-05 season, so you know they're hyped.
Well, I was there
in Salt Lake City.
I was there that night they beat Wichita State. It was an impressive win. Final 2 minutes of the half. Baylor was down fairly big early. Caruso almost dribbled it right to Cherry. Now Prince aggressively playing defense, and A&M's going to call another timeout. Sloppy ball handling for the Aggies these last few minutes.
Well, Dave, that's really where this zone is what I call angry. They don't settle back. They're not passive. They attack. And if you're careless with the basketball, if you're not strong with it, they're going to go and get it. Watch here from three-quarter court. You get the basketball, and if you're careless, they're going to go after the ball. They're going to reach. They're going to jab it loose, and they're going to make something happen of that. You look at Kenny Cherry, and he's just waiting. He's timing the dribble. And here's Green, sloppy with the basketball, holding it out. You have to be strong with it, because these guys, that basketball is a magnet to this zone, and they are attracted to it, and they're trying to get it.
Aggies hit some shots early. The offense has been a lot tougher for the rest of this first half. 34-29, Baylor with the lead. Texas A&M has called a couple of timeouts in the last couple minutes. Bears at one point were down 7, so up 5 now. They've turned this game around. Shot clock at 10. Caruso will use a screen. The 3, Green. Long rebound, and Medford comes away with it. The bounce pass, offensive foul. Caruso was there. Medford knocked him down as he led Cherry. And the fans in Waco do not like that one.
And see, I don't know about this play as well, because when you get the basketball, you have to allow the offensive player enough space to maneuver out of your way. I didn't see at that juncture that Lester Medford was able to get out of the defender's way. I don't agree with that call, but again, that's the most difficult call in college basketball, the block charge rule, but I don't agree with that call.
It turns into a turnover. Would have been 2, I think, on the other end. Green again. Wainwright taps the ball to himself.
You know, those were 2 quick shots in the shot clock by A&M that I thought were a little bit choicy, that I think if they could have those back, they would wait and get a better shot, because right now Baylor wants them to take those deep threes.
Medford 3. Off to the side, no good. Jones grabs the ball.
Baylor is such good at offensive rebounds that at times that second shot is their best shot, but that was a poor shot by Lester Medford.
Green, bounce pass, too strong, out of bounds. Not a great stretch for Jordan Green, the senior, one of the experienced Aggies.
Really the only Aggie that's played in this Battle of the Brazos. He played 8 minutes his freshman year, last time that they played. But again, those last 2 threes he took were rushed. He attacked the paint. That's when you stop, either raise up or you pass it out and try to force something. Didn't work out.
Shot clock is off. Baylor can hold for the final look of this first half. And Kenny Cherry's looked good with the plantar fasciitis. These last 4 games has not played. He's been solid tonight.
You're going to look either for a high pick and roll or Kenny Cherry just to take him off the bounce and attack the rim.
Cherry does attack. good off the glass. And A&M sloppy even in the final couple seconds. That's sort of how this game went after the first few minutes.
What I liked about that last play, Dave, is the fact that Kenny Cherry only left him 1.6 seconds for A&M. Not enough time to get some out, but offensive rebounds. Really the tail of the tape for Baylor Bears, how they were able to get back into this game.
So it's halftime here in Waco. Baylor 36, A&M 29. Now Steve Weissman in the studio with Jay Williams for our Land Rover halftime report. Week for cancer research on ESPN as we continue our commitment to the V Foundation. Jim Valvano's dream to defeat cancer as we get ready for the start of the second half. Baylor leads Texas A&M 36-29. Dave Fleming alongside Stephen Howard, and Stephen, really spirited first half. A lot of that has to do with the atmosphere here inside the Farrell Center. Baylor's defense, maybe not as spirited early on. It really picked up as the half went on.
Well, Dave, Coach Billy Kennedy was really worried about the first 10 minutes, seeing this zone. But really, it was the first 10 minutes where A&M played the best. They were attacking the gaps, getting easy shots, and Alex Caruso did a good job of really spearheading that attack and spearheading A&M to a very comfortable lead in the first 10 minutes. But then it seemed like after that lull in the game, Baylor finally started to initiate that defense from the zone. They started becoming chippy. They started becoming active. They started to get in the passing lane. And then they really just disrupted the offense of A&M down the stretch.
Well, another big factor as we look at the stats from the first half, the offensive rebounding of the Bears.
Well, Baylor had 7 offensive rebounds. A&M had 8 total rebounds. So really Baylor is winning the ground war in the second chance points. Just a more physical Baylor basketball team. A&M, if they want to win this game, they're going to have to get in the trenches. They're going to have to play physical.
Yeah, the 7 stands out, but maybe not as much as the 0 stands out.
Yeah.
A&M not a single offensive board in the first 20 minutes, and they're playing from behind on the road.
Offensive rebounds, steals, those are all effort stats, so you have to go after those. They're not just going to fall in your hands.
Motley, I thought he provided a nice spark. Gathers, trying to get another one, not quite this time.
Well, Dave, the thing about Motley, just the fact that he's being aggressive, what they want him to do, that bodes well for Baylor, and that's the kind of player that they want him to be.
Touch pass outside Jordan Green to Alex Caruso.
And you're noticing early on in this second half already a lot of deflections by Baylor, hands active early.
House, Caruso down low. Nice pass. The shot is good from Jordan Green.
Whenever A&M has been patient in their zone offense, they've found the right shot. They've gotten good looks, and even if you miss those, you're still making that defense shift, and you're getting the looks that you want at the rim.
Caruso, a little gamesmanship, I think, with Lester Medford, who almost threw the pass away. That was interesting.
Yeah, I see you.
Yeah, he did. He was standing right in front of him. Here's Rico Gathers. And a hook shot, no good. Motley, there's the activity you were talking about. And Caruso comes away with a loose ball. Aggies running. Good bounce pass, and the foul. Jalen Jones hard to the basket. He'll shoot free throws.
One of the things that Baylor doesn't have this year, they don't have that rim protector. They don't have an Isaiah Austin or Corey Jefferson. Jalen Jones doing a good job of just attacking the rim, initiating that contact, and playing through that contact.
Medford picked up his 3rd personal foul. So early in the second half, it looks like he's going to take a seat.
And I think that's big for Baylor because in that first half, Lester Medford was the player that, to me, seemed most comfortable out on the court.
And he'll come out. We'll see for how long. Not even a minute and a half into the second half. Kenny Cherry in. Second free throw, no good. Jalen Jones missed them both. Cherry, who missed 4 games in a row before tonight with a foot problem. Jonathan Motley back to the basket, into the middle. Good little shot fake, fouled.
You know, Dave, Jonathan Motley is a guy that really took advantage of that red shirt year. He added 10 pounds of muscle. That whole time he's going against guys like Isaiah Austin, Corey Jefferson, Rico Gathers in practice. He used that time to get more physical, work on his body, and you can see the finished product this year. Good for Baylor.
He looks a lot different. We would see him in practice last year.
And it really is similar to the mold of a Corey Jefferson, who he's been compared with body type, coming in slim, working on the body, and then able to blossom into that role.
He has struggled here since the early games of the year. Tonight, playing well. Missed that second one, but offensive rebound Baylor.
And even though Rico Gathers did not get that offensive rebound, he caused that with his activity, able to keep it alive and then allowing Baylor to get the second chance scoring opportunity.
Prince finds Gathers. Spin
nice
move. Draws another foul. He has single-handedly drawn, what, 5, 6, 7 fouls in this game. That one against Jalen Jones, his third.
Well, this is a nice move by Rico Gathers. Watch him go up and just track this ball. He gets it. Nice spin move into the baseline. Tried to dunk it. Rico Gathers showing his ability that I'm not all the time a below-the-rim player. I can get up when I need to.
I've seen him throw down some vicious dunks in his first 2 years. Made the first free throw. He needs to work on his free throw shooting. He's a guy who gets to the line a lot. First couple of years at Baylor, free throw shooting was a struggle for him.
Yeah, his free throw rate is 70, which is top 100 in the country, which is impressive. But like you mentioned, free throw percentage, 52%. Sometimes when you're missing the front of a one-and-one, it's just like a turnover.
Baylor leads by 8, couple minutes into the second half.
If you notice, though, Dave, the zone, so much more active with that steal.
Another one for Baylor. Cherry on the move. O'Neal down low. Motley scores.
You know, Dave, that's the same type of interior passing A&M was doing early on in that first half. Now Baylor attacking the man-to-man of A&M and getting that same type of easy looks down on the block.
Offensive foul.
You know, looking at that last play, look at Baylor trapping active hands. That's how their defense is so effective. Holding teams to 35% field goal percentage. D, that's top 13 in the country. They create offense with that, and then Rico Gathers. Great positioning above the restricted area. That's an area that officials are looking at. You cannot dislodge the defender.
Cherry, good look in and out on the three. Danger time for Texas A&M. Down 10, House nearly had it stolen. Caruso's been a reluctant shooter as the game has gone on.
And see, Dave, that was a pass that Caruso did not make in the first half. He would make no-look passes, quick passes. He telegraphed that. You can't do that against this quick Baylor defensive front line.
Bears getting organized in their half-court offense. Cherry, lob, Motley, finish.
Dave, that was a setup play. They lulled A&M to sleep. Nice back pick by O'Neal. And we're going to take a look at it. Kenny Cherry orchestrates this. Great executed play. Nice back pick. Motley goes up, lays it in. Baylor in control of this game late in the second half.
Goes 7-0 run for Baylor. They've upped their lead to 12. A&M in this game was up right away from the start, but since the first few minutes of the game, it has been mostly Baylor, and that guy Rico Gathers has been so active underneath the basket.
He's been integral, and he and Kenny Cherry, the first point of attack, and Rico really the foundation of the attack. And A&M, they're not doing any ball fakes. They're telegraphing. They're not making the defense shift. Baylor too active, too aggressive to attack that way in their zone.
You're right. It's been such a difference. A&M looked so comfortable early on against the zone defense. Anything but comfortable here in the second half. And almost another steal. Aggies got lucky there.
You know, I told Coach Scott Drew yesterday that I didn't think this defense was an Aviva defense. I thought it was an angry defense. Second half, Baylor playing that angry style of defense that this zone is noted for.
Into the lane, the runner, no good, but a foul. Jordan Green, an aggressive move. So we'll take a quick timeout. The Bears up 12 in the second half.
In the second half of this game, Baylor has set the tone defensively, being active in passing lane, getting deflections, and using that to initiate their offense. That is the MO of this angry zone. They've gotten in the way of everyone. Their second chance defenders, they've gotten above the restricted area, and whenever A&M has gotten the paint, they've been active. And this team is too fast, too quick to telegraph pass. They've really taking control of this game, Dave, with their active, their attentiveness, and really their ability to disrupt the offense of A&M.
Well, you see those numbers coming in. Baylor's defense statistically look very impressive on paper, and it's not like Baylor's just been playing one cupcake after another. I mean, they played at South Carolina, at Vanderbilt, they played Memphis, they played Illinois, pretty good Stephen F. Austin team. So that's some decent competition level to have the defensive numbers look as good as they do.
And when they played Vanderbilt, Vanderbilt was shooting over 40% from the three. They ended the game 3 for 17 from three. So this zone is able to take away and morph and take away your strengths. And it's doing that effectively in the second half against A&M.
Here's O'Neal on the perimeter. Kenny Cherry looking healthy, which is big news for Baylor tonight. Motley down low. Motley, tough shot. O'Neal missed the follow. Tipped up by Prince.
And Dave, that's the MO of the Baylor teams of old. Second chance scoring opportunities. It's almost like that's a play for them. The ball goes up and they just bat it around until someone scores that basketball.
Well, another near steal. Caruso, though, knocked down. That'll be a foul against Royce O'Neal. His third personal foul.
Dave, I tell you, if we took deflections as a statistic, something that we took when I played with the Utah Jazz, Baylor would be ahead 30-5 in this game. Very active, on their toes the whole game, and that's one of the reasons why A&M's playing on their heels. Baylor, they're active, they're aggressive, they're pushing forward.
I mean, even simple passes have not been simple.
And that's why A&M, they need to use the ball fake. They need to get these guys off their feet, going the other direction. Then you're able to attack the gaps.
Daniel House finds Caruso. Great look inside and a reverse layup from Antoine Space.
You know, they're talking to Kennedy before the game. They wanted to get Caruso into that middle. That was the first play that they actually got him in that middle, and it worked well for him, able to score down low.
Motley finds Freeman in the corner. Three. Rebound Aggies. There's still plenty of time in this game, so plenty of time for Texas A&M to recover, but not if they make mistakes like that.
And you see Coach Billy Kennedy saying why. Why do you want to risk a play like that? Yeah, you want to get an easy bucket in transition, but if you don't, you got to pull it out because right now you can't afford to lose a possession.
Fourth year in College Station for Billy Kennedy, one of the good guys, one of the good coaches in college hoops, but it has not been a quick program build for Coach Kennedy. The momentum we talked about in the first half, they're recruiting at a very high level. The future looks bright, but hoping this is a year where they do take a big step forward.
Well, the cupboard was bare when he assumed the job at Texas A&M, and it's taken a while to build it up, but it's very promising now with the recruits that he has, with the veterans that he has already.
Wainwright to Gathers with the left hand.
Dave, Rico Gathers is a player that plays best with angles. You see that time he sealed perfectly, great pass, and then he went up, protected the ball with the rims, went up positively.
Some struggles for Texas A&M, that's for sure. 13:50 to go. We have a moment. And another reminder, Saturday Holiday Hoops presented by Kay Jewelers. 4 good teams. Michigan trying to bounce back. Arizona trying to keep it going. Kansas, Utah, very intriguing game. 3:15 Eastern on ESPN. Also on Watch ESPN.
I was really impressed with the poise of Arizona against Gonzaga down the stretch. Able to pull that victory out.
Bounce pass, Prince against the shot blockers.
Lester Medford really has done an exceptional job in this game, leading the charge offensively as the point guard.
Biggest lead for Baylor. Aggies looking for offense. Not going to come like that. Here's Medford, so quick in the open court. Medford! That ball looked like it might have been up on the rim. No interference call made.
Yeah, I agree, Dave. I thought that was offensive goaltending, and it probably was going to go in if they would have left it alone.
I think it was. Robinson, no whistle. Contact, Freeman. 3-on-2. Prince draws the foul. This is that play we were talking about a moment ago.
Yeah, take a look at Lester Medford doing a good job attacking the rim, and that basketball, no, it was off, so it was a good no call. That ball was coming off, and both Baylor players attacking it, trying to get the tip done.
First free throw, no good. 49-34. That's the lead for the Bears. Look who's here tonight. Our colleague, Fran Fraschilla.
The man.
Not working with us, but here, smiling, enjoying this game.
That's when you know a basketball junkie. Yeah. When on your off day, you drive the 2-hour drive from Highland Park to Waco to just watch some good hoops.
Well, I guess Fran will go home tonight, and then he'll be in Kansas City for that Utah-Kansas game that we were just talking about. I think he's expecting a real good game. We were chatting with him before this one. Here's Al Freeman in transition. Basket with the foul.
You know, you're looking at Al Freeman. He led the bench in scoring all 4 games when Kenny Cherry was out, and he's showing that poise, really just going in and out of the defense around the back. Hesitation move, crossover, Euro step, giving it all to him for the N1 scoring opportunity.
Converts the three-point play. Baylor continues to add to its lead. More struggles for the Aggies. 4 fouls against Jalen Jones.
And you see the angry defense. They're not done. They're extending it. They're playing it full court. They're trying to take away some of the shot clock. And this is when Baylor is dangerous, because they're feeling it. They're feeding off their defense, and they're trying to get some more.
17-3 Baylor run. Well, I said they had plenty of time. Maybe that's not a good thing for the Aggies, because it's getting uglier as the minutes tick away.
It really is. Look how they extend that defense, though. There's not too many zones that extend it past the three-point line. Most zones are passive, not the angry Baylor defense.
And finally, an aggressive move. Devontae Fitzgerald draws a foul that sends us to a timeout. But Baylor ready for this game. Bears playing well, up big. All right, Steve, thanks. So some top 10 teams in action, Arizona and Louisville right now. A consensus as to the #1 team. I don't know, Steve. At #2, to me, Duke has a pretty good argument. Duke has been really, really impressive.
They really have. And the ACC has been really impressive. But Jabari Parker, he's the truth down on the block. But Kentucky, I just want to know which Kentucky team is #1. Is it the white platoon or the blue platoon?
Well, they're both pretty darn good. The free throw from Devontae Fitzgerald, sophomore from ACC country. He's from Atlanta, SEC country in football. And playing in the SEC with the Aggies, makes 1 of 2 free throws.
You know, Dave, we were talking about in this timeout the amount of field goals or the lack of field goals of A&M. Only 4 field goal attempts in the first half. That rounds out to about a field goal every 2 minutes and 25 seconds. Baylor defense really disrupting any type of rhythm that A&M had in that first half.
Well, you see those big guys down low. Motley trying to add to those totals. Gathers another rebound. Here's Wainwright drawing the foul. So the shots would not go down, but that dominance continues where the rebounding numbers, the paint scoring, all that stuff has been so heavily in favor of the Bears.
You just see the size of Baylor. Motley doing a great job backing it down. Rico Gathers, always the guy that might not get the bucket, but he initiates that first touch, keeping it alive. Wainwright, he's got a wingspan of 7'1". He's able to just outreach the A&M bigs. really Baylor dominating on the glass.
And this is a guy who has a chance to play a lot better. Wainwright was a big-time high school player.
Yeah.
And he's got a lot of tools. He is not a confident scorer right now. He can do a lot of different things, though.
The one thing he's got to do is he's got to drop some weight. He's got to lose at least 15, 20 pounds. Still, he'd be at about 215, 220 at that. Still big for a guard. But to be effective in the college level, he's going to need to be a little bit lighter.
That's a runner off the glass from Alex Robinson, freshman from the Dallas area. They like him. Now the play stopped as the teams went back in training. Somebody's got a cut. Looks like Fitzgerald. You're going to have to get that taken care of.
In that last play, Dave, you really saw the deficiency of Baylor. They don't have a rim protector. Rico Gathers, Jonathan Motley are guys that eat up space, but they don't necessarily block shots. That's, I believe, what A&M needs to do to get back into this game. Attack the rim, but do it by going inside and outside the paint.
Yeah, against Big 12 competition where you have teams like Texas, like Kansas, who have so much size inside, and players who can attack, like Robinson did there from the perimeter. That lack of a shot blocker, and that could end up hurting Baylor at times.
We're talking to Baylor. The one thing that has helped them this year has been the change of the block charge rule. That's allowed guys like Rico Gathers, who you've seen already today, take a couple charges to be effective and protect the rim with charges, because he didn't have a problem getting physical, getting on the ground.
11:05 to go. Baylor comfortably ahead here at home in this rivalry game that had not been played for several years. Now that these teams play in different conferences, there are a lot of emotions around this matchup, and Baylor playing very well, a game they want to have badly.
One thing Baylor needs to pay attention to, they're switching the fours on those pick and roll. Royce O'Neal should be able to take the big off the bounce.
And you got Wainwright matched up against a much smaller Robinson, but the shot clock winding down. Freeman found an opening. Motley kept it alive. Motley grabs the rebound and scores. That has been the story of this game.
Well, that happened because of the switch. You had Caruso on Motley. When you tried to get the rebound, Motley just too big, too strong, able to get that second chance scoring opportunity.
Cherry cannot believe he got called for the reach-in foul.
Now watch, you're going to see on that last play, Freeman going up for the shot. Motley has Caruso on him, just too long, not able to get the rebound. Motley able to get the second chance scoring opportunity and just too strong. That's the aggressive behavior that they've been waiting for Jonathan Motley all year long, the coaching staff of Baylor.
I mean, this is a kid, you're looking at number 35, Jonathan Motley, the freshman from Houston, who last two games had not made a shot, had not scored a point. Caruso throws it right to Cherry. Layup good.
Dave, this is when it's just not going your way. That pass was perfect, but to the wrong player. Kenny Cherry anticipated where Caruso was going, where his man didn't even.
7 turnovers, 5 field goal attempts. Not field goals made, field goal attempts. A block shot there, but a foul. There's the guy who has a chance to turn into the rim protector. Jonathan Motley whistled for the personal that time.
Not only that, though, Dave, I believe if he keeps developing the way he has, he's got some pro potential in him. I mean, he's got the touch, he's got the athleticism. You see him in practice, he just exudes athleticism. He just needs to get that aggressive spirit and play like he has today every game.
Fitzgerald, free throws coming. That one way off. Now that is not good news on a night which has been overwhelmingly positive. Cherry, and that looks to me, now look, I'm just speculating, but it's the left foot that's been giving him problems. And I thought he's taken off his left shoe. So a night where he has looked healthy after missing 4 games, and obviously some pain there for Kenny Cherry.
Well, and that was the one apprehension that they had, not wanting him to play, because a plantar fasciitis injury, if you come back too soon, that's going to linger into December, into conference time. You wait a little bit longer. The one thing, though, they do have beneficial, Baylor doesn't play until the 17th, so he will have time to nurse that foot.
Caruso goes for the steal and comes away with it. A rare, easy look for the Aggies.
And that's Alex Caruso. He's the guy that initiates his team with his defense. He's the emotional leader. He's done that throughout his career, but he's going to need more of that in order for A&M to come back into this game.
The first basket for Alex Caruso since the first 2 minutes of the game.
You know, he's coming off arguably his best game ever with 23 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, 6 steals against Arizona State.
Nothing Caruso can do, though, about the big guys for Baylor dominating in this game. And once again, Jonathan Motley. Caruso was having his best game last time. Might be the best ever for this kid here tonight.
Well, Dave, it's almost like the light switch has gone on for Jonathan Motley, realizing his potential, realizing that he should dominate in this game where A&M does not have any bigs to match his size, his length, his athleticism.
Chance for the three-point play. Free throw, too strong. A foul called against Baylor. Even with the missed free throw, Jonathan Motley, 6 of 10 shooting, 14 points, 7 rebounds.
What I like about Baylor, though, you see every shot that goes up, a free throw, a three inside the paint. They view every shot as a missed shot opportunity, as a second chance scoring opportunity.
Now you see Kenny Cherry with that plantar fasciitis that he's fighting.
Yeah, you're not going to see him anymore today, Dave.
Yeah, they're up 20, 9:07 to go. He practiced the last couple days, played big minutes in this one, but something happened these last few minutes where it just started bothering. We had not seen any signs of discomfort all game long until he just came out.
And he looked good in practice. I saw no ill effects of any type of foot problem throughout practice. But again, plantar fasciitis is a tricky type of an injury. It's on that foot. It's one of those things that you'll notice it. He's going to feel it in the morning.
Well, these officials went to the monitor just to clarify. I think foul shooter Scott Drew called his team over. The Baylor kids ran over to the bench, and the officials, as soon as they got there, said, okay, now we're ready to go. Let's get back to the free throw line.
It's just smart time management by Scott Drew, trying to get an extra free timeout in and instruct his team.
Ended up just being a wind sprint, basically. Maybe a word or two. First of the one-on-one, no good.
And you mentioned it earlier, Dave, so many missed opportunities at the free throw line by A&M. Free throws will win and lose close basketball games, but that would give them the opportunity to be in this game.
Lester Medford, the slip from O'Neal right as he was about to catch that pass, and Spice basically jumped right on top of him. And here's where everybody's got to be careful. This rivalry has been so heated so many times in the past. And we know the feelings between the two fan bases. We don't necessarily know that that carries over to the players on the court. It has been an intense game.
Well, I talked to the Baylor players, and they said older guys that have graduated have called them all up. AC Law, all these guys have said, hey, this is a big game. And you're not going to lose this, but you got on A&M, Alex Caruso. He's a ball boy, so he very well knows the chippiness, the history of this type of game.
It is A&M basketball. Robinson attacks that big man and scores. Nice move, Alex Robinson.
It's not offensively that A&M is going to get back into this game. It's got to be getting some defensive stops. Robinson upset with his teammates, just let him run right into a pick by Tyrene Prince.
Medford open. No good. Motley offensive board had it ripped away. And the big man Dylan John, sophomore from England, who has just come in this last minute or so for the first time all night. John's sloppy play on the floor. Prince comes away with the ball.
I love the way Baylor has no problems getting onto the floor, get those 50-50 balls.
Medford finds Al Freeman.
Dave, Baylor just running efficient basketball now. They make a stop on defense, they attack, get the easy bucket, and then they get back and set down into that zone defense that A&M has not been able to solve in the second half.
Johns fumbled it out of bounds off of Texas A&M. Timeout here in Waco.
Well, this second half, Dave, has been all about 50-50 balls, and it's been all about Baylor getting those. Baylor getting on the ground, then off to the races. Baylor getting easy buckets in transition. That's why they're ahead in this game big.
41, that's the score. Baylor with a 20-point lead. This was a close game in the first half. They have blown things open in the second half. The young big man Jonathan Motley has been a big reason why.
Well, 5 offensive rebounds, second chance scoring opportunities. It's been a coming out party for Jonathan Motley. playing really above the rim, playing more physical, and really doing everything that he wanted to down on the block. This is the player that the Baylor coaching staff has been waiting to see, getting on the block. Nice inside-out move, going to the baseline, and this young man here, you've seen the second coming.
Well, they do believe he has a chance to be a very high-level player in the Big 12. Motley, who started off strong, including a career-high 17 against South Carolina. He's got 14, close to that tonight, after really struggling as the season got underway. He already has his career-high rebounds in this game. I think this is his best ever all-around game. It
has to be. But for me, if I'm A&M, I have to be disappointed in my effort in this game. Baylor with 14 offensive rebounds, still 0 offensive rebounds for A&M. That's effort. One thing the coach cannot coach, Dave, is effort. I can get you in the X's and O's, I can get you in the right place, but going after the ball, diving on the floor, I can't make you do that. A&M really just did not come to play, and it's surprising with the rivalry and the magnitude of this game that you wouldn't be able to manufacture some effort.
Gathers back in, gets a touchdown low. He's been a big part of that offensive rebounding advantage. Hard to just rip it away from Rico Gathers. They do call a timeout. You're not often just going to reach a hand in there and tap the ball away from the big guy.
Yeah, I'd be worried about getting my hand back in that situation.
Yes, me too. Well, Friday on SportsCenter, we're talking to hoops, but we're here in Texas. High school football obviously is so huge here. And I think the greatest high school game of all time was played in Texas 15 years ago. Good gosh almighty. And if you don't know what that means, watch Friday 6 Eastern, SportsCenter, a new SC feature. An incredible game. It was an incredible comeback. And the announcers had a little part in naming that SC featured segment. And once you watch, you'll know why.
Well, Dave, if you're like myself and you're from Texas, you didn't know that they played high school football anywhere but Texas.
Yeah.
The way of life here.
And you know, this state has become so big in terms of high school hoops too, almost against all odds, because for so many years it was just all football, and now some of the very best college hoops talent in the country coming from this state. Medford elevates and scores. He's been a difference maker in the early season for Baylor.
He really has. And you look at the adversity that Baylor went through with the injury to Kenny Cherry. I think that benefited Lester Medford the most, because he was able to assume that leadership role. And now they have 2 floor leaders, and it's going to help Baylor down the stretch.
Courtney Robertson's been in foul trouble for most of this game. Gets a bucket there. A&M, though, still down 20. 2 points, 3 fouls. Not a good ratio. Freeman 3.
Got a nice stroke.
Yeah. He's a good shooter. Kid who originally committed to Ben Howland and UCLA. There's a great look down low. Robertson gets a second consecutive bucket. But now Freeman, who was from North Carolina, committed to UCLA. Never played there, transferred here to Baylor. Was expected to play last year, but broke his wrist. And sat out redshirted a year now. An important part of this Bears team. Motley, another red shirt from last season, followed his own miss.
Motley is just adding to what has already been an impressive game. You see that 20 pounds of muscle. You're seeing the skill set he was able to garner by playing against Corey Jefferson, Isaiah Austin, and they've got a player, Jonathan Motley.
Robertson with contact scores the basket. Foul against Rico Gathers, who thought he just stood there.
Rico looking at the officials like, you saw him bounce off of this impressive chest that I have. That is not a foul. But again, I think that's the one glaring weakness of this team, is that lack of interior presence, lack of interior rim protector, because like you mentioned, when you go against the Kansas, the Texas with the Cameron Ridleys, they've got horses down on the block. And you're going to need some interior depth that this Baylor team does not have.
Rico's got to be easy on the high fives. He almost took off his coach's arm coming back to the bench. A guy who was on a different strength and conditioning program from everybody else on this Baylor team. They have to give him all kinds of extra football style weight room work.
Well, and he didn't start lifting until he got to college.
Never did.
as we call country strong.
Okay, now this is dangerous, isn't it? Let's look again. Rico, you got to be careful here, bud.
You see that look. Ow. Come on. He saw the grimace, too. That's going to hurt in the morning.
Jalen Jones has fouled out.
He doesn't look too happy right now. Can someone go tell him that they are up a lot right now?
Rico.
Or at least just tell him what's going to be on the training table tonight.
And you figure he can put it away a little bit.
But I love that intensity. I mean, you want guys hungry, and I think really that's one of the reasons why this Baylor team is so good. You don't have those McDonald's All-Americans. You have guys that are chippy, guys that were 3-star, 4-star, that have something to prove, much like Rico Gathers, and they go out every night and prove it.
Not a great night for Jalen Jones.
A guy that was a leading scorer and leading rebounder for SMU, transferred to A&M. Has been playing well of late, but just didn't have anything against that really aggressive interior of Baylor.
Final 5 minutes. Alex Robinson's been a bright spot. Hits the 3.
Right now, A&M is just playing for respect and just trying to get this close to 10 points. Something that they have not been able to do in this second half.
I mean, look at the field goal shooting. A&M is making shots. They just are so sloppy with the ball against the defense. They've been killed on the glass and killed by Jonathan Motley. Timeout, Scott Drew.
Yeah, they're not stopping anyone. It's one thing to make shots, but you got to make stops with that. And A&M have not been able to do that. Really no fight in the Aggies in this second half.
Weren't a lot of smiles for Motley these last couple of games. He's got a career-high 20 to go along with his career-high in rebounds.
Well, look at Motley, just rim runs. Cuts to the rim, nobody there to protect the rim for A&M. And this guy's mobile, he's agile, and he's got a nice touch around the rim, just lays it in softly. Lot to be happy about for Baylor and for Jonathan Motley.
Well, the Bears fans relishing the chance to play this game. These two teams had not met in football, not in men's or women's basketball, not in baseball, not in softball since Texas A&M left for the SEC. And folks here in Waco were waiting for a chance to play, but especially beat the Aggies, and that's what they're going to do tonight.
Not only beat the Aggies, but beat them impressively. The first half, I thought A&M really had the aggressiveness in that, but second half has been all Baylor.
Good to report that Paul Mills does not have a dislocated shoulder, and he and Rico Gathers are still able to sit next to each other after that aggressive high five. Baylor assistant coach is okay. Robinson, foul, and I don't think that was on the block attempt. That was a whistle against Medford, sort of down on ground level. Fourth foul against Medford. 206th meeting all time between these two teams, and they've played some classics.
Now, I was in the film session for Scott Drew in Baylor. The last time A&M won was here in Baylor, senior night. Donald Sloan threw the ball off the glass to tip dunk it while A&M was up handedly. And Coach Scott Drew reminded them that you don't let people come to your house, particularly A&M, come to your house and win basketball games. So he set the tone early for his Baylor Bears.
Hey, none of you guys were here, but we were ticked off. So you better be ticked off too. And I think the message was received. It was a very intense team coming into the game tonight.
Not only that, but when you have veterans like Quincy Acey calling you from the NBA, telling you to protect our house, that message is received.
Big time. Medford, impressive. There is a little Pierre Jackson in his game. Not the biggest guy, but quick, strong, can finish.
Active hands, Dave, deflections, just lackadaisical passes by A&M.
Bodies falling all over the place, and there was Motley all alone.
Yeah, I'm really impressed with how Baylor has played in this game. That defense.
Timeout for Billy Kennedy and the Aggies. So we'll keep it here. Texas A&M, they're 6-1 and looking to be an improved team in the SEC.
Timeout, Texas A&M. They got one timeout remaining.
So I think there's some optimism. Tonight has not been their night. This is the preseason media poll. Picked to finish in that 9 slot. And look, I mean, the way they play tonight, they look like a 9th place kind of team. But I think there is some upside where you look at Ole Miss has struggled a bit. Missouri, Auburn, A&M has a chance to move into that top 5 or top 6.
Yeah, the one thing about the SEC is it's very top heavy. You look at the top 3, but then after that, I think all of those teams really can be moved around. LSU's been playing very well, beat 2 Big 12 teams in West Virginia. But yeah, A&M, and it's early in the season, and that's what you play these pre-conference games for, to learn about your team and rectify it. And A&M still has plenty of time to right the ship, but you got Alex Caruso. You got 11 NBA scouts here tonight checking out Alex Caruso, so he's got the potential to put this team on his back.
3:17 to go. Caruso looked ready to go, but he and his teammates, after those promising first few minutes, just have not played well tonight. Baylor has looked good.
And it's really been a quiet night for Alex Caruso. You know, credit Baylor's defense to not only take A&M off their rhythm, but Alex Caruso not allowing him to be aggressive at all tonight.
Timeout again for Baylor. 2:53 to go. To avoid the turnover, Baylor uses a timeout. So we showed you the SEC preseason poll. How about in the Big 12, where we expect, and look, the topic of one true champion has certainly been on the table on the football side these last few days. Not to pick a scab, but same thing in basketball, where you have 10 teams. Everybody plays each other twice. You get that true round robin. And it just, to me, Stephen, looks like such a deep league. Those bottom teams last year struggling look much, much improved.
We got 8 teams in the Big 12 now with either 0 or only 1 loss. There's no other conference in the land that stands tall like the Big 12. So this is going to be a stellar year for the Big 12. And the way they're looking right now, you could have 7 teams that go dancing towards the end of the season. So again, you mentioned the bottom of the league, Texas Tech, TCU. Both of those coaches are Hall of Fame coaches, coaches of the year in their previous stops. So no easy wins in the Big 12 this year.
Out of the timeout, Baylor got an easy basket. Here's House missing the layup. Gathers, adding to his rebound total. Gathers 11 points. And I think that was his 10th rebound. I think he just got himself a double-double. Yep, confirmed.
Right now, Rico Gathers is 4th in the Big 12 with active players in double-double. So quite a history of those. And Gathers is a guy that I root for. He might not be the most skilled guy on the court, but he's the most effort guy. I mean, he goes after everything and every play like it's his last.
20-point lead for Baylor. By the way, Courtney Robertson, who made that basket, the first Aggie player in double-figure scoring in this game with under 2 minutes to go.
You know, this is one of those games where I don't know if you even watch the film if you're Coach Billy Kennedy, because there's going to be so much to go over. Just say, hey, guys, we laid one. Let's just move on.
Freeman 3, rebound to the freshman, Alex Robinson. House fouled by Gathers. Well, he's still intense with 1:21 to go, and Baylor up 20. You wouldn't know the margin with the way Gathers is acting in this one. He has been intense, even with the big lead. Watch out, Coach. Yikes. Rico Gathers and Baylor playing very well here tonight at home. Well, amazing news. I mean, Michigan, the Wolverines, tough times for John Beilein and company.
And then if you're Arizona, there's 2 schools of thought. Either Michigan is going to be fractured during that game, or they're going to be extremely angry. So it's going to be easy to see, though, at the beginning of that game, which Michigan team has come to play.
Baylor in the final minute getting a chance to get some of its depth in the game. There's a 3 for Avery Johnson Jr., the son of the longtime NBA player, head coach, colleague at ESPN.
Little general, former teammate with the Spurs. Good to see his son in action.
Off the bench, immediately hit a three.
Avery was actually calling that high school game last night in Dallas, Texas with Plano West. A lot of those A&M recruits on this team.
Here come the Aggies. Final 30-plus seconds. Sports Center follows us. I've been impressed with Alex Robinson.
Yeah, he's played well. He's been one of the few bright spots for A&M in this game, but a guy that can run the team, give them some scoring in spurts.
Final 20 seconds here, and kind of amazing that, and this is going to hold up because this is the final possession. A&M will be the first SEC team in 19 years without a single, not one offensive rebound tonight.
And that's disappointing as a player because that's a lack of effort, a lack of fight that showed through 40 minutes of basketball. Coaches have nothing to do with that. It's all players.
Well, Baylor was looking forward to the renewal of the Battle of the Brazos, and I think you could see why. Baylor improves to 8-1 with a 77-63 win at home against the Aggies of A&M. And Scott Drew and company, I think they could be very pleased with the way this non-conference schedule is going. They look ready to get into the Big 12 and make some noise.
Well, I think what was impressive to me is that they started the game off facing some adversity, and they recovered from that, and they came back with their signature D from their signature zone. And I think that angry zone that I like to call it really was the story of this game with the emergence of Jonathan Motley, a guy that I think they can rely on down on the block.
So the tough guy play down low. Motley had the best game of his very young Baylor career. Rico Gathers, who's such a physical presence inside. You combine that with the activity on defense. That's a good formula for a Baylor team that may surprise some in the Big 12 this year. So we're done here from Waco. For Stephen Howard and our whole ESPN crew, Dave Fleming saying so long here. What a night for the Bears. They beat A&M 77-63. Coming up next, Sports Center. So long from Waco.